everyone who goes to Edinburgh really love to win an award for their show. I went and maybe a few Guinness had been involved, and it was around midnight, and the first couple of acts were not really doing it for me. So from the act's point of view, this isn't a slight on them, but I fell asleep. In my comedy, I tell stories, and I'll meet people who come back to shows and they'll be like, oh, we saw you at X, and I've been telling my pals about, the thing with like the car wash or something. And I'm like, right, so you want me to do that thing you've already ruined?
Hello and welcome to the British English Podcast, the show all about British culture and British English. And my name is Charlie, and today's episode is a special one. Imagine, if you will, myself and my wife going for a cozy little comedy gig just around the corner from where we lived. And unfortunately, we got there late, and then realised that the only seats available were at the front row. And the comedian that then took about 2 hours roasting us for that evening is actually sat right next to me, because after that roasting, in which I think he went behind stage and did some social media sleuthing and got ammo for us for the next couple of hours, he's actually got a mutual friend that led to other conversations, and then realised that he's been to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. And that is what we're going to talk about today, because I want to better understand what it's like for a comedian, but also maybe for somebody that wants to go and experience the festival for the first time. So yes, we are in his house right now, and his name is Matthew McAloone. Hello, Matthew. How are you?
Very well. What a beautiful introduction, and a reminder of a lovely night.
It was a good introduction to knowing you.
It was, I suppose, from your point of view, it might have felt a bit like a sting operation, because you did come to a show, and also him, the mutual friend, didn't know I was going to be the host.
Yeah.
So there was a whole buzz right before the show started.
Yeah.
And I remember the glee in your eyes of like, this is going to be wonderful, because he knows Tim, so I'm off the hook. But then you and your good partner became very much the stars of the show. And in an environment like that, where you've got maybe 30 people in a tight little room, you feel like anonymity. It's like, oh, that'll be great, because this is too small a room. But everyone left really knowing your life inside out.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? Yeah. They gave me opinions of the British English Podcast as well.
Yeah.
And my wife's business, how to pronounce the brand name as well. That was not acceptable.
Well, this is a great example for the audience. Is it okay if I say the company name?
Yeah.
Because when you've got a fairly loose grasp of English and someone says it's called Sway, you might be inclined to spell that like the word. But I mean, and then I did go off stage. I couldn't find the agency, so I was worried about the financial position and future of the company, based on the fact that a fairly well-educated man could not find any trace of it. But then it's like, oh no, it's SWAI. I'm like, oh, what? How great! Do you have any backup ideas for a living? Because I don't think this is going to take. But since then, I've refound confidence in the business as a follower online, and also by getting to know you and getting to know Stacey and all that good stuff,
Yeah, good.
But
I feel like you were actually outraged at the pronunciation because you couldn't find it. I can imagine you back there being like, oh, I need ammo on them.
Yeah.
I can't find it.
It was a mix of that. Yeah. I definitely came in a little bit hot, because then it's like, oh, I'm the idiot for not clarifying the spelling of a word that exists.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But yeah, and Tim and Katie enjoyed it, because they basically got it was like going to their living room and just putting their friends in front of them and getting a professional to roast them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice for them.
It became that, but also it was very fun. Despite the fact that I might sound like I'm being mean. Once you get past that, it's the intent is pure of heart.
Yeah. So during that, you picked up on it being the British English Podcast, and you had some.
Well, I didn't pick up on it. It's definitively called that.
But you picked up on me saying that I'm representing Britishness. And as an Irishman, I think we probably all know that already, listeners. But if you haven't cottoned on, he's not an Englishman. He's an Irishman, and he wants to make that clear, I imagine.
But I mean, from an international view, if you were to look at a map, it is clearly outlined that the north of Ireland, where I was born, is governed and part of the UK. So I forgive a little bit of it's not even naivety. That's the way it's stated. So you kind of have to. Yeah. There's like a second wave of information that comes. So what I'll definitely, here's a great tip for anyone who meets someone who sounds a bit like me. Ask them where they're from rather than going, oh, you're from Belfast, you must be British. Because you might be on the receiving end of a 45-minute history lesson you didn't want. Yes. But I'm way more chill about it.
And why is it so sensitive for Irish people? Can you...
Yeah. British occupation of Ireland goes back, almost 900 years at this point.
Right.
The famine is one of those things that is an incredibly sensitive subject because it was massively misrepresented at the time, and since then is still. The assumption seems to be that the Irish people just chose to build their diet around potatoes, and then potatoes went bad, so we all died. And it's not. There was agricultural issues in Ireland, but Britain still wanted its yield, so they we're entitled to this. So basically, took all the good, and left nothing for the Irish people who were working the land that used to be theirs, but was taken by the British and sort of divvied up amongst people that they moved over and planted. So plantation, they just, you could be a Scottish lord and they'd be like, hey, do you want a farm in Ireland? You just send like your sons over and then this will be their thing. Like, oh yeah, great. You come over and then the Irish people who previously owned that land now worked for you. And it was a forced sort of slavery, but there was like a very small payment and they got to live on the land, but it was nothing.
That what you just described, that was centuries ago.
So that would have been that had been going on for centuries, but the plight, like the issues in agriculture was in the mid to late 1800s.
Okay.
And then that's where like Ireland's population was over 9 million, and the number is a really simple way of looking at it. It was like 3 million died, 3 million emigrated, and 3 million stayed.
So, and most of those emigrated to America.
That was definitely that seemed like the land of opportunity at the time. And it was a straight shot boat across. So that seemed to be going around as that was the dream. Yeah. Get over to America, make a fortune.
It's a fascinating culture to look into. I want to talk about like the America opportunities and like what happened to Irish people. We'll stay on track.
Sure. There's a lot to be talked about. Yeah.
Wow. So can we easily segue from war, politics, and Irish famine to being a comedian?
But well, I mean, much like great music, and a lot of it comes out of hardship. So you could sideline out of that by maybe the Irish sense of humor is forged in the fact that it was the only option. But you can either cry or laugh about it. Yeah, and we chose the laugh part of it.
Sorry to butt in right now mid-conversation, but you were just exposed to a lovely phrase, and I want to teach you that phrase properly. To do so, I've created a PDF covering the definition, example sentences, context in which natives use it, which is really valuable for you, collocations, meaning the words that natives use before and after a phrase, and then a couple of good quiz questions to help lock that phrase in to your long-term memory. With this knowledge, you will go from having heard a new phrase to being 110% confident in using it when speaking English yourself. And this PDF is not just covering one phrase, but 10 phrases from this very conversation. You can grab it by scanning the QR code on screen right now, or clicking the link in the description box or the pinned comment below. That link will take you to this page. Fill out your name and email to sign up to my mailing list, and then I'll send it directly to your inbox.
Yeah, which has definitely helped in my comedy career this international like acceptance that there's a good chance this person will be funny because they're Irish,
Right.
and the people that have come before me, and
It's a referral network, isn't it?
oh yeah, definitely. And then also the expat community of Irish people that are in every major city, as it turns out. It's great for advertising shows, because obviously Edinburgh Fringe is an arts festival held in Edinburgh for a month, but there is a international network where you can go and travel as a comedian and just pop up in Amsterdam or Antwerp or Brussels, and they'll just advertise it with the big tricolour, Irish comedian Matthew McAloone, and it's like a siren call. And there's always the little collection of Irish people who've already found each other in that city, who come just to reconnect with home. And it's tremendous. And then 90% of the audience who've gone, oh, Irish comedian, that'll probably be good.
Did they actually place you in an Irish pub?
A lot of it just seems to be the Irish pubs are like the breeding ground for comedy nights all over the world, like South Africa and around Europe. And I know people, I'd say 50% of the international comedy nights that I hear about are in Irish pubs, or started in Irish pubs and got too big and had to move on.
Yeah.
But that's probably because the Irish, like everything happens in the pub. So the idea of having a function room in an Irish pub is for events and funerals and wedding receptions. So they typically have that second big room for putting stuff on.
And is that part of why you moved out of Ireland? Because I can imagine it's all well and good, like appreciating that you've got the Irishness to your name as a comedian, but you obviously will have had to start in Ireland as a comedian, and the humour there is very advanced. And I would imagine it's like doing a lecture with PhD students. It's like everyone's got a high bar.
You're really giving Irish people a lot of credit there. There's levels, but I actually didn't start at home because when I was at home, but it plays into your point, it felt like the comedy I was watching, there was no way in because it was so good. Like, where do you even start? And I didn't know of any open mic, like starter comedy nights. So I just saw the pros, and it was a handful of people who you're like, well, they were obviously just born like this. So there was no way in. And then I moved, and I was in Newcastle, and a friend of mine was in London, and he accidentally did an open mic comedy performance.
Accidentally.
Which now, I'll peel back the curtain a little bit. Open mic comedy in big cities like London, it's everywhere. You can walk past a pub, not even knowing there's a room upstairs with 7 people in it who have gone seen a comedy night poster or been flyered downstairs and gone, oh, we'll go up. Then they get in and they're trapped because there's 20 acts who've now, bombarded the door. It's like, oh, I guess we're staying here. A similar-ish thing happened. My pal was in the bar with like 2 or 3 pals, and someone came over and flyered them and said, oh, there's going to be a comedy night. And they're like, oh, yeah, great. So they go up, and when they get in, they realize they're 50% of the audience. And now I know what the promoter of the night, but the person organizing the night was MCing, which is the person who sort of starts the show and gets things going and introduces the acts. And he spoke to my pal and his group of mates, and somehow it came up. My friend said, I would love to try this sometime. And he was like, well, you can go on last if you want, and just like get some stuff together. And you seem great. This would be fun. Let's give him a round of applause. He's gonna close the show. But what that guy was doing was ensuring everybody stayed for the show, because at the break at these nights it tends to be because everyone's terrible. When they start, everyone is terrible, and this was a room of nothing but terrible people. So the only way that audience was going to remain intact was with this suspense of this guy's going to come up and try comedy for the first time. And that's those people did stay. He did it. He called me afterwards, and I'd never heard of open mic comedy before.
Right.
So then I was like, oh, I guess I'll just do that.
All right. But you had always wanted to.
Not, I never saw that. I had a few people in my life say to me, it's like, you could do this and you should do this.
Right.
But all I'd seen was pros.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, how do you, and I had this conversation with someone last week. It was like, I assumed that there was a guy with a cigar who just, comes over and is like, listen, I've just heard you talking with your pals. You're hilarious.
That's how you thought it was.
Because there was, how else was it, and then you get made a star. So I just assumed, well,
You're just waiting for that man in the cigar.
Cigar. Just, stay ready, stay match fit. But
leech to anyone who's getting a cigar out.
This is the moment, yeah. And then they banned smoking, and it was like, oh, how is this ever going to happen? But so yeah, you basically do the open mic circuit long enough that you start getting trial spots on pro gigs, and then once you're sort of established there, you might pick up a little bit of paid work on some smaller nights, and yeah, it's just that it's working up the ranks.
Yeah. And how soon do you start to think of the Edinburgh Fringe Festival?
I'd been going to Edinburgh Fringe since I was like 19, because I had friends who'd moved to Edinburgh Uni.
As a festival goer?
A festival goer, yeah. Right. And again, it's a kind of, Edinburgh's changed so much, but when I first was going, it still felt very much out of reach, and we were buying tickets to shows for people that either we knew or had been recommended. Okay. And Edinburgh Festival is, it's been, 50 years? It's been going a long time. And it started off as an arts festival, so music, theatre, literature, and comedy. But comedy definitely feels like it's cannibalized it.
Yes.
So all those elements still exist, but it is...
Yeah. I thought it was only comedy. Yeah. And then one of my relatives was going up to do some sort of musical or drama or something. And I was like, is she a comedian?
Yeah.
They were like, why did you assume that? And I was like, yeah, comedy festival, isn't it?
It definitely...
So it's still everything, but...
Yeah, it's still everything, but comedy definitely feels like it's taken over.
Yeah. And just to paint the picture of the experience for somebody who doesn't really know what it is, it's a month of every venue in the city basically selling out with acts.
Well, the selling out part, we'll strip that back. They've got acts performing. But yeah, so the whole city is just all about the Fringe. And even places that you would never even consider for performance are converted into performance.
And it's not like tents in a field, it's the city, right?
Whole city, the universities, obviously the students have left, so the lecture halls become venues. The student accommodation is where it's then let to comedians and performers. Every nook and cranny of every venue gets converted. So there might be a venue that holds 12 people, venue that holds 120. Everywhere you turn, everywhere you look, there is a Fringe venue going on. It's just got a number on the door. And there's some really well-known venues. So like Monkey Barrel in the last few years has really taken off. Restaurants will turn their downstairs room or their upstairs room into a venue. And the shows last a maximum of 1 hour. So the turnaround time is pretty quick. So you might have like a holding pen of the bar with the new audience waiting on the old one coming out, and then they rotate round.
Okay.
And it's just absolute chaos.
Yeah.
The streets are filled with people flyering for shows. There's box office caravans just set up and
and it's got a really positive energy, or is it a bit exhausting?
From the outside looking in, it's all positive energy.
Okay.
You come down the street, sometimes it'll be the act themselves flyering for their show, sometimes it's paid flyers. The Fringe has a brochure that they're very keen on. There's a bit of controversy a few years back because you would think at this point you'd have an app and a website, but I think it was 2 years ago, decided they weren't going to do the app, which caused absolute chaos because no one had submitted like for paid promo in the brochure or anything, because there would be the app, and it's really about social media now, so steering people to that link would be essential. So to strip that back is a massive step backwards. So what started off as the Fringe is like just artsy and not really put together. Then the Fringe as a company became very strong, and the council had to link up with the Fringe because it takes over the city. So you got to like the maintenance of that and working with hotels and accommodation and way before Airbnb. So it had to become a more managed situation. And it started off as like from the comedy thing, which I'll hone in on because it's the only part I really have any insight on. The Edinburgh Award was a big deal. But as time has gone on, different little federations have popped up. So you got like the Free Fringe and you got different promoters that take over things. So whilst they're part of the Fringe, they're very much their own thing. And I mentioned Monkey Barrel. So Monkey Barrel was at one point just above a pub comedy weekend show.
Yeah.
Then got their own venue. And then after a couple of years, felt comfortable enough programming their own Fringe. And they took on extra space. I think this year round, they'll have 4 rooms for the Fringe, and programming shows from probably 11 a.m. through to 12 o'clock at night. And your show is fixed. So there are people who do like 1 week, 2 week runs, but typically for Fringe, you're doing 1 month and you're doing the same time at the same venue every day for the month, with maybe 1 day off in the middle that everyone sort of agrees is the day off. So it can be fairly relentless, but because there's all these different factions now created, and you got the Gilded Balloon, which is, originally this a university building that is right in the center, right by the meadows, and has its own box office. People who're familiar with Gilded Balloon will just go to the Gilded Balloon and see the acts there because they're like, well, I believe in this venue. I know there's a certain caliber, so believe in them. So people go, I'll just watch everyone. There's a Monkey Barrel. There's the Stand, which is like, if you think about Edinburgh comedy clubs, it's like the longest running. And they've got 3 or 4 rooms that they take over for it. So that's, I think if you went back to when I first started going to Fringe, there was a lot more word of mouth and buzz on, or you might take a flyer and go, oh, we'll take a chance on this. Now the general audience, seem to be deviating to these known entities.
Okay. Because my understanding of it is just through Baby Reindeer, basically.
Yeah.
The Netflix show that shows a guy that tries to make it in Edinburgh and he just leaflets all day and people are just throwing it around, using it for Rizzlers and stuff like that. And then, is it Roach? I haven't smoked in a while.
I think Roach is another time,
And then he's just put in a pub that nobody wants a comedian and they're like annoyed that the TV's been turned off and he has to do his bit. Is that at all representative of some parts of the Fringe? Or not?
The flyering aspect and that desperation, 100%. But the idea that you'll be performing in just like a pub, that's more of what would happen in like a London open mic.
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas with Edinburgh, it's clearly designated as a venue.
Oh, right.
So that's a little bit of embellishment just for effect.
Yeah.
But you could definitely be in a remote part of the city that just has no foot flow, and especially if you got a place that's got regular like goers and you're in the back room, you could come into the bar aspect as a potential audience member and be like, is this the venue? It's like, oh no, it's in that back room. You go, I don't think want to be in here.
Yeah.
So you can't at a certain level, you can't say I want to be on at 8 p.m. in the main room for my show. There's so many things you apply blind basically, and then you might get options, and you can the bigger you get, the more profile you have, the more you can sort of lean in. But it's rarefied air to think that you can just pick where and when you want to perform. So, and that's there's it's anyone can apply to perform, regardless of your background or how long you've been going.
And you can get accepted like without proof of being funny.
There's no governing body on funny.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah,
and it's very relative. But if you've been going 2 years and you're doing 5-7 minute spots around London, it's not uncommon to see those people splitting the show with another comedian and doing 30 minutes each. having never done anywhere close to that before. So the idea that you'll be able to create the additional 23 minutes that you're going to need for a good quality show, it's just not possible. It's not going to happen. The show's going to be terrible. But there is this sentiment that by doing Edinburgh, you get better as a comedian, but it's at the expense of those people who come to your show.
Yeah, right. So we're actually going to leave the free version of this conversation here for today. The full episode is available for premium podcast listeners or members of my academy. To learn more, you can go to thebritishenglishpodcast.com. But if you're not interested in doing that, then remember to get the free PDF that helps you go from confused about the advanced language that came up in this episode to completely confident to use them yourself next time you're speaking English. To get that, scan the QR code on screen right now or click the link in the description box or the pinned comment below. And if you're wanting another video to watch right now to improve your English, then I reckon you'll love this one on screen right now. So, see you in that one.